Hey world of YouTube, this is Bonnie. I would like to talk today about what it is to be an American. And I do not mean this in a very cheesy, just automatically proud to be an American way. I'm talking about some real stuff. I'm talking about what it is to be an American, not just some bull crap you write whenever you gotta fill some paper, on an essay about what it. I'm talking about my ancestors, 9 generations of my family in Texas for the past 9 generations, and then it goes back, to the 13 colonies, whatever, wherever they came from. And then before that, it was Scotland. So, I mean, we've been here all along, and I'm talking about what my ancestors fought and died for and what is going on today with that, how things have changed, and I'm 22 years old. You can argue that, I'm too young. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I listen to people. I listen to my grandparents whenever they say things. I listen to my mother whenever she says things. I listen to, what history has told us. I listen to quotes that historical figures have said about certain things. I pay attention to trends that have happened in history throughout time, and I see how that is relevant today. And I'd like to talk about some of that. So, if you don't mind, I'll continue right on. First of all, I'd like to talk about states' rights. Okay? What it is to be an American is to be different. Okay? States' rights. The reason that there is states' rights and federal rights and why they're not all one thing is because whenever we were first, we came over here from England, Scotland, Ireland, Finland, Spain, wherever, we came, and each state had like a different kind of people in it. Like Florida, I think, had Spain people, Spanish, wow, Spain people, Spanish people, like Virginia had like England or something. But anyway, each state, had their own people. And, as people spread out or whatever, you'd still have, like different states had different needs, like, I forget which state. It was like Massachusetts or something. But there's like, small state, wanted, at least two, like only two. I'm getting into Congress now, like only 2 representatives or whatever. And then, then large states were like, well, we've got a bigger population. How can you say that we only get 2 votes whenever Rhode Island's small and Texas is big? So, we need more votes for this. So that's why, the Senate has 100 representatives, and, the House of Representatives has, significantly, like hundreds, more than that. So, well, like, how many is it? I forget how many it is. I should know. But anyway, states' rights. In California, right now, they've got gay marriage, right? Yeah. And medicinal marijuana. And in Texas, we have definitely got a death penalty. Some states don't. Like just different states have different things. The reason for that is because you should be able to choose which state you want to live in. That's how it was kind of set up. If you don't like what's going on in Montana, move to West Virginia because they have something that you do want, and it was very common for people to pay more attention back then to the differences between the states and decide where they wanted to go. That's why there was a gold rush, is because people saw the benefit of going away from what they knew and going and finding something different, and excuse me. And, that's why people came to Texas. It wasn't that necessarily the places that the places that they were terrible. It just meant that, maybe they saw something else that they wanted in another state, and that's perfectly fine. So whenever you create a federal law that limits the power of the states, you are limiting everything. If you don't want to see people, I don't see how it's very relevant to the everyday person, marriage between a man and a woman. If you see a man and a man walking down the street, they're going to walk down the street holding hands whether they're married or not. And it doesn't ruin your marriage if they're together. And I'm not saying that I support or don't support gay marriage. I'm saying that it's not a political argument. that also falls into freedom of religion, by the way, because if the main argument for why a man and a man or a woman and a woman cannot get married is because God says that it's not okay, I'm a huge fan of God. I love Jesus. I'm a Christian. I'm all the way. But having said that, the reason we have freedom of religion is because some people are Muslim, some people are Jewish, some people are, Satanists, some people are Christians, some people are atheists, some people don't even know either way and don't care, and the reason that we have freedom of religion is so that people could escape religious prosecution where they were at and have a place to go. If anything, that's what we were built on, was religion, because, a lot of people that came over were Protestants, and over in England and, those areas it was Catholic, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Catholic, and then people that came over here were Puritans or Protestants, and, Spain was full of a bunch of people that were in jail and they were overcrowded. So, anyway, but that doesn't mean that they stayed in Florida. I'm sure Florida's nice. My sister's there right now. But, anyway, about states' rights. So, you could choose where you wanted to go. So now that, there's more and more laws coming out that, limit that choice, I don't think that that's cool. And, the Articles of Confederation gave, which was whenever we won our independence in 1776, we created the Articles of Confederation, which was our constitution at the time. Okay, and it didn't work because it gave way too much power to the states because they were overcompensating for the main powers that be to have complete control over everything. So they're like, okay, well, the states need to have all of the rights, but it didn't work. They had way too much power that, it just could not work. So then they created a more balanced system, which, the Constitution was the product of that. Give equal power to states and federal. Keep what's federal. Keep what's states. Keep what's personal liberties, and that's my number 2. What it is to be an American is to uphold your personal liberties. You have the right to speak how you feel about the government. That does not mean that you can just go around, saying I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, and, like planning and all of that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can do those things. I'm not going to say. But it does mean that you can protest. It does mean that you can say, I think Obama is doing this, this, and this wrong. You can do that. And that's an amazing thing because in most countries, you can't do that. That's, punishable by, death or something. I don't know. But that is just an amazing thing that most Americans take for granted. And I'm not going to go on this whole, just proud to be an American spiel. I'm telling you how I feel because I think it's important for people to open their eyes and think about what it is that they're letting happen. This is not just my responsibility. This is not just your responsibility. Everybody needs to stand up for these things. You have the right to bear arms. You have the right to protect yourself and your home and your family. You have the right to do these things. You have the right to, print a news article about things that you want to print. If you want to start a newspaper, it cannot be censored. That's the thing is the freedom of press. There's so much that's censored. And I don't even know what is. That's a problem. And I know that sounds very ignorant, and I promise I don't mean it that way because I'm very mindful of the fallacy that's in that. If you can't see something, then you can't prove that it exists just because you can't see it, kind of thing. And like Monty Python, like she's a witch. Why is she a witch? Because she's got a wart on her face, and that makes her a witch. You can't say that, but I hope you know what I'm talking about. But anyway. What it is to be an American is standing up for your personal liberties, not accepting just the given, answer. Okay? Whenever we were fighting for our rights from Great Britain, fighting for our independence, we were being taxed and we didn't have any representation to say, no, we don't want this, or yes, we do, or, maybe this instead, or whatever. We didn't have that. So we dumped a bunch of tea into a harbor. Did you know, by the way, that nowadays, if that happened, they would be called terrorists? Think about it. Back then, the Boston Harbor, the Boston Tea Party. Okay, that's what it's called. Also, Shays Rebellion. You could just go down the list. Anything that happened, if we would have lost and England would have won, all of those people would have been put to death or whatever, or imprisoned or whatever, and they would have been marked down as a bunch of terrorists in our modern day definition that was invented not too long ago. But and anybody that is a terrorist is somebody that causes terror. One that causes terror. It is not specific, so anybody can be a terrorist. That's just a scare tactic to, convince people of a particular belief, and I heard something today about right-wing terrorism. Look that up. Also look up MK Ultra. Also look up Monarch programming. I think that those are interesting things to look in. I'm not going to go on too long forever. I want to end on this note. Whenever you have freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of ... right to bear arms, freedom of anything, it's free. It is not, kind of free. You are either free or you are not. And we were built on a free society in those ways. That doesn't mean it's just one big free for all and you can go do whatever you want. There are certain ways to do things. There are certain, processes maybe to go through. There are certain, just cover your bases and make sure that you're doing things legal, because if they have the chance to go after you, you know that they will. And as unfortunate as that is, this is my freedom of speech. So I'm very proud to be an American. I also meant to get into the working hard part, but more than anything, I think what makes me most proud to be an American is that we were built on knowing what we wanted and fighting for it, earning it, keeping it, upholding it, and ensuring that it's been, upheld this whole time. Now, I see that crumbling. Even thinking about taking away any part of our Second Amendment, that's not okay. That's not okay. Thinking about, using a religious argument in a political stance takes away freedom of religion to one degree or another. And you know that if it starts off here, it will end up over here. That's just how everything goes, especially in politics. And another thing, something to think about is if you give anybody one side is completely honest, okay, and whenever you're given a story or something, you give one side that's completely honest and you give another side that is completely false, people will choose, okay, well, I'm sure that they're both kind of right, so let me find the median and I'll settle there. 80% of people will do that and not even think about it, not even realize what they're doing. Maybe they do realize what they're doing and they just think that that's the best way to go about things. So having said that, I'm just gonna stop talking. I hope that this was insightful. Please leave a comment. I'm really tired, so if this was, sloppy, I know it was, forgive me. It is what it is. But thank you very much. Bye, world of YouTube.